You are listening to AP Taylor Swift, the podcast for Swifties who are all about the lyrics. We're your hosts. I'm Jen.
I'm Monty.
And I'm Jody.
And we are your unofficial professors of Taylor Swift.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of AP Taylor Swift. In this week's episode, we are going to be deep diving Invisible String. This is a continuation of our conversation from last week. Last week, we actually went out on a limb and discussed 6 songs, and I think we were pretty efficient about it. But we did parallel songs, so each of us brought 2 songs to discuss and compare to each other. If you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back and listen. We had some pretty fun comparisons. But today, we're going to be taking one of those songs, Invisible String, and going deeper. So Jen, do you want to talk us through how we do our deep dives?
Yes, but first I'll do the admin stuff of Invisible String. Came out in 2020 on the album Folklore and was written by Aaron Dessner and Taylor Swift. So in order to deep dive this, what we're going to do is go through line by line, talk about who do we think the I is, who do we think the you is, and what's the purpose of the song. Then at the end, we'll come back and see if we all agree on the purpose, if we have some nuanced differences, or if we're going to argue about it. All options are fun. So Invisible String. Do we want to start with the title? Because I do think it's an interesting, the title's already given us some stuff to consider.
Yeah, in the last episode you mentioned the string from the Fates. I definitely thought about it that way. I also just think maybe there could be a non-Fates definition of just like quite literally something tying you to me.
Yeah, I think you can get more literal, like even if you don't know the Greek mythology behind invisible string, you understand the metaphor of an invisible string tying you to me. It's pretty clear, but I think the actual Greek mythology makes it a much more powerful metaphor and connection.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the feeling of being tugged in a certain direction against your will, like just being pulled towards something, like really focusing on that pulling motion. When you're attracted to someone, you just feel like you're being pulled towards them. But I also, I guess I'm thinking about what are the things that would have invisible strings, and it made me think of puppets, like marionettes. It's a little bit like maybe we're all puppets in a play, or like you're not, like something else is controlling you, which kind of goes to the Fates idea.
Yeah, and this came up in our interview with the authors of Taylor Swift by the Book, that this is also potentially a direct reference to Jane Eyre, because at one point in Jane Eyre, when Jane's talking about Mr. Rochester, she says, "I have a strange feeling with regard to you, as if I had a string somewhere under my left rib, tightly knotted to a similar string in you," which still implies fate, but it's also like, it's could be referencing Jane Eyre, who's referencing fate. Maybe we have layers here.
There's also apparently it also comes from an East Asian folklore. This is according to Reddit, so grain of salt. But there's apparently an ancient Chinese proverb that says an invisible red thread connects those who are destined to meet regardless of time, place, or circumstance.
Oh, I do love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just shows how common this idea is across
Of a string.
cultures.
Yeah. And well, I think it's funny. Well, obviously this is an invisible string and you're talking about a red one, but then we begin with green was the color of the grass. So I kind of like I was thinking
Colors.
about why do we start with a color?
Yeah, this is a fun color.
We talked about
song.
the colors in. Did we talk? I think we talked about the colors in the romantic songs episode.
Maybe a little bit.
I did this song, so I should remember. Anyway, green was the color of the grass.
She uses the colors to immediately paint a picture, and knowing where we go later, she talks about like how it's so pretty to think. I'm already jumping ahead, but she's painting a very pretty picture. Green was the color of the grass where I used to read at Centennial Park. It's summer or it's spring. This isn't, dead winter. We're reading outside. It's fun, it's pretty, and it's lovely. And I used to think I would meet somebody there. So we had this image of this, younger girl having this romantic vision. And I think the color adds a lot to that. It's small, but it tells us a lot of what's happening. It's vibrant, it's alive, it's hopeful, it's all of those things.
Definitely the first line of every stanza is going to be an interesting one. I like the way that she plays with like word, explain what that word significance is. We don't know. We're just using the word initially. And to me, that creates the vibes. Green was the color of the grass. Time, curious time. So anyways, it sounds like we're getting into it. So should we do the stanza by stanza?
Let's do it.
I can read the first one. So, green was the color of the grass where I used to read at Centennial Park. I used to think I would meet somebody there. Teal was the color of your shirt when you were 16 at the yogurt shop. You used to work to make a little money. Here, she's used the colors definitely to get that
Yes. And what we
parallel.
discussed in the love romantic songs episode was that the use of color to also connects and contrasts the things that tied them together before they knew each other. So
Yeah,
you
so
have like
green, I guess green and teal are similar colors, but
right,
they're different. Same,
right.
but different.
Yep.
And yeah,
So there's
they're both vibrant. They're not dull. They're not anything like that. And the first part, green was the color of the grass, where I used to read at Centennial Park, and I used to think I would meet somebody there. Sort of ageless, perhaps. Like
mhm.
anyone can have that. But then teal was the color of your shirt when you were 16 at the yogurt shop. Immediately places this like it gives this almost visual opening scene. It's like the start of a movie, and it's like the two panel movie, and you see this,
Yeah.
you know, pretty teenage girl reading at a park and having these dreams, and you see this teenage guy working at a yogurt shop trying to make a little bit of money, and you're like, where's the story gonna go? And it's like there's some, you know, there's the connection there.
It also really highlights the differences in their lives that she can sit and read in a park and
Yeah.
he needed to work at a yogurt shop to make a little money. So I think that that's a really interesting contrast.
I think you're getting into the elephant of the room here. And the thing is that these aren't similarities at all. They're the most
Right.
random colors. Like she has fixated on the most random thing, right? So she's trying to make these similarities, but it's not a real parallel. It's actually two totally different scenarios and there's actually nothing in common. You can fixate on literally any color in the park, right? Like you're outside in the grass.
Monty the romantic right here.
But I think there's some humor here because she's making this really wistful romantic song, but like when you look at the lyrics, you're sitting in a park in Centennial Park and she's like green was the color of the grass. I mean, blue was the color of the sky, red was the color of the flowers, like every color under the sun literally is at the
Yes, but
park.
we need to find the invisible
Well,
strings.
to me, this is not where it's not saying this is the moment we obviously the string started. To me, this is the once upon a time. Once upon a time, there was a
Yeah, no,
girl
no,
in
no, I get
Centennial
it.
Park and a boy working in a yogurt shop.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is like with the colors, she is trying to show like the same but different. And she's trying to say like there was something tying you to me all along and she's fixated here on the color, but with a little bit of irony here, right? Like these are like we're really pulling at we're
At
really
strings.
yeah, we're really pulling at strings here to try to make the connection. But you're right. Like I think the reality is that we're seeing a difference in where they started. She was reading a book at the park, very privileged, and he is working at a yogurt shop at the age of 16 to make a little money.
And I think to Jen's point, like the way I see this as the once upon a time is literally we get time, curious time. Give me no compasses, gave me no signs. Where there are clues I didn't see. And so I think that to me, those lines just highlight the fact that perhaps she's not trying to make any connections to one another in that first stanza. She's saying, look how different our lives and actually were and what we were doing because there were no compasses and no signs and I don't know that I saw any clues and how different our lives were. And here I was sitting in a park thinking I would meet somebody, but the person I would meet was doing something completely different and living a completely different life. There were no clues there.
I do think you're right. I think that's just it's funny that she would use the green and the teal because they're such similar color. Like
She's an
it feels
artist.
like these
She's paint.
first two stanzas are just doing a lot of work. Like you're clearly highlighting the contrast. You're trying to make some connection. The connection is obviously not really a connection. And then she even acknowledges that. She
Yeah.
says time is curious. There was really no signs.
And she's saying, and isn't it just so pretty to think all along there was some invisible string tying you to me,
Right.
that there was
Right.
nothing I could have
Nothing obvious.
seen,
Totally.
but there was something there all along. It's just invisible.
It's just a little
The
off.
time element is so interesting too. Of it's yeah, it is that here we're starting the story, and then it's like, and then it's sort of the and then one thing led to another, and now we're together.
Now we're here.
Huh? Like, was that? It is like kind of tongue in cheek of. sort of I'm choosing to believe. Like that I love the line of isn't it just so pretty to think? She's not saying I believe this. She's saying isn't it lovely to imagine this was always destiny
Yeah.
that we were always connected to each other? That's such a fun beautiful romantic thought to have. She's not claiming it. She's just saying I'm kind of choosing to believe this cuz it's nice.
I do love the word choice of "isn't it so pretty to think?" because you just said it as you were repeating it. We don't talk that
Yeah.
way. We say "isn't it just so
Yeah.
lovely to
It's
think?"
very kind of old
And
school romantic feeling.
exactly, she's done that deliberately to change the language.
Yeah. I do, and you kind of mentioned it, Jody, but I do think like she gave me no compasses, gave me no signs, is saying to you like, yeah, maybe there wasn't that connection in the beginning, but no compass is interesting because there's this question that's being unsaid here of how did we find each other? There was no compass,
Right.
there was no path to
Yeah.
you, yet we
No
did.
roadmap.
Yeah, so but perhaps there was that invisible string. I had no compass, but I found you anyways. Maybe that was destiny or something. The compasses is really
Yeah.
interesting.
I just get the sense of like, I am so tickled
Yeah.
to think this.
So
This
tickled.
is a fun exercise. Anyways, the tongue in cheek continues as we get into "Bad was the blood of the song in the cab on your first trip to LA. You ate at my favorite spot for dinner. Bold was the waitress on our 3-year trip getting lunch down by the lakes. She said, I look like an American singer."
This is such an interesting stanza because so many things going on here. You have the Taylor Swift reference, bad was the blood of the song in the cab.
Yeah.
So really putting her I mean this whole stanza she's putting herself in the song, but you're starting it
Yes.
out right there. But also the time change, the time jump in this whole thing where you go from this was on your first trip to LA, my song was playing in the cab and you ate at my favorite place for dinner. We didn't know each other. This is like the invisible string theory. And now flash forward to our 3-year trip
Yeah.
we were on together and now she said I look like an and the waitress who didn't know who we were said that I look familiar. I look like an American singer.
That last bit, the getting lunch down by the lake, she said, I look like an American singer. That feels like it doesn't have anything to do with anything.
I
Like,
think
the
this
whole
whole
song is about their
song
relationship,
but that is about their relationship.
but it's more about
She's
her, right?
painting these vignettes.
Yeah.
This whole song, she's painting these tiny little vignettes. Green was the color of the grass in Centennial Park. Teal was the color of your shirt. Here you are in the cab listening to this song. Here we are on our 3-year trip getting lunch down by the lakes. Like she's really putting us in.
Yeah, I guess I would have, with the invisible strings, I feel like everything so far has shown a connection between the two. It's like, this was you, this is me. This was you, this is me. But then getting lunch by the lakes just looks like, it's just like,
Oh, see, I see it as this was you alone and now this is us
Yeah,
together.
I to me this reminds me of sometimes of stories you hear of people who find out that they were like in the background of each other's pictures at Disney World when they were kids and then they end up together and they discover it. So kind of this like bad was the blood. So the first time you really were exposed to me as a singer was when you were in a cab and you went to LA and you went to this dinner that I like this restaurant I love, but we didn't even know each other. But fast forward, now we're eating lunch together because we're together. And the waitress is like, "Oh, you look like an American singer." So it's this like, "Oh, remember like that first exposure to me when we didn't know each other?" And now we can look at the connection now of eating a meal together where someone's like, "Aren't you an American singer?" And we had this inside joke of like, "Oh, haha, no, I'm not," but like we both know I am. That it's like here's these same items, but it's before and after the invisible string brought us together.
I think it's also maybe a way of her inserting herself more clearly into the song, perhaps, as an
Can you
exercise.
get
Like, I think this is an interesting vignette. Like, I get what you're saying, Jen, with I get what you're saying with the parallel with the like me in the background and then me more here explicitly. It just like, I don't know.
I think truly some of this may be how long you've been with your husband. Like Chris and
I
I
love that you said it, not me.
well, Chris and I talk the first time we met was on a trip to Chicago at college and we met and just were friends. And we talk all the time about like now we are here and we live here together and that's so wild to us that this all like kind of came together.
That's not the part that I'm stuck on. That bad blood in the cab makes perfect sense. Like, even the having lunch together makes sense. It's just that like it could have been, and now we're on this lunch together. Like, I think the fact that she's like the waitress said that I look like an American singer It's just such a
it's a
like
secret that
random.
they have, and not a secret, but like it's they are. Here's something
Yeah, like
that we have that this
you
person
went
doesn't
from
know.
having lunch. Yeah, like you went from listening to the person to having lunch with that same
Yeah,
person.
Yeah,
exactly. And you went from being so exposed to that person to now finding a place where someone's like, "Oh, you kind of look like this person." Like you were like the
Yeah.
overexposure on one end where this is a stranger who I think I know everything about to now you get to be on the inside, you get to be the one having
right,
lunch with me and we get to giggle behind our menus as someone thinks I look like this famous person that we both know I
right.
am, but we have been like setting aside time for ourselves.
You're in the inner circle
Yeah.
now. You're not just listening to me on the radio. Like you're here with me when nobody else even recognize like realizes who I am. You and also I think that's another element of it. Like you know who I am even when other people think they know who I am
Yeah,
or
maybe
can't even
that's
place me. They like I
more
think you look like this
Yeah.
person, but here I am with
right.
you. You really know who I am.
I think one thing that we're not talking about as much in this confusion of mine is that getting lunch down by the lakes.
Mhm.
I think we
Mhm.
know the reference to that song and what that song is about in that moment. It's like getting away, and she just has that one person that she wants to go to the lakes with
Mhm.
in that moment in time. So I also think that there's something there about how important of a trip that was to the lakes and what that meant, and maybe all the baggage that comes with going to the lakes.
It also tells us how far away she's gone from Centennial Park. Centennial Park is in Nashville, Tennessee. The lakes are in the Lake District
Well,
and
I was gonna say the
LA.
direct comparison she's making
You're right.
is someone is in a cab in
That's
LA on
you
his
are
own
correct.
versus we're together at the lakes, which is
Yeah.
very far away, but we're
And
together.
very
Yeah,
exclusive. There was nobody else at the
except a
lakes.
bold
Mm,
waitress.
Well,
bold
right.
waitress. But I think that also just show I love that how going from Centennial so we've gone from Centennial Park to LA now to the lakes.
Yeah. I mean, it's from the I point of view. So, we haven't talked about the I and the you so much, but from the I point of view, I think we start out at Centennial Park very romantic. And what's interesting to me is we get stories of the you, but we don't get too much of a romantic yearning. It's not like, oh, you were also searching for someone. This is very much a story about the I and the I trying to be like, how did we get here? The you is like, I'm so glad you're here, but whatever. For like, the you stories.
They're kind of going about living
Yeah,
their life, right? They're
exactly.
working.
Yes, exactly. I just think that's really
It's
interesting because they're working in a yogurt shop, doing probably a work trip to LA. Maybe we don't
Yeah.
know,
it doesn't really
and it
matter.
doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
like and it is very speaker centric
Yes.
because it's the invisible string tying you to me, a string that pulled me out of all the wrong arms. Well, I'm getting ahead of ourselves. But it's always about tying you to
Mhm.
me.
Right.
What clues didn't I see?
Yeah.
Not tying us
Yep.
together. Then we get the chorus again.
It does
And the
change.
only change we have is time, mystical time, cutting me open, then healing me fine. And that's a change from the initial chorus says, gave me no compasses, gave me no signs. So now time is wounding me, but also healing me.
Yeah, it sounds like their time together with this invisible string was not all rainbows and daisies.
Oh, see, I
There's
see it
I see
differently.
it as before
okay.
this person.
Before
Yeah.
it. Yeah. That's how I saw it.
I was thinking like there's so much time that has passed between the cab ride in LA to the getting lunch down by the lakes, and I almost saw it as like referring to this time because again, she's saying were there clues I didn't see. I feel like we're in the relationship. We've gone past the before and we're now in it. Because through the it sounds like it could have been like an on and off. Like through the on and off, there was always just something tying you to
Oh,
me.
I don't see it that way. I see it as all that were there clues I didn't see in all these other relationships and all this other time that was cutting me open. That like I went through a lot of shit, but it healed me fine and here I am with you. And I think as we get to the bridge, that's where I
Yeah.
think I
I was gonna say
get
I
that
get influenced by
perspective.
what comes next.
I would like to think that, but just seeing as the verse prior was just a time lapse, which you called
Mm,
out too, I like can't help but fixate that that
mm.
has to be the thing that we're talking about now.
Well, let's get to the bridge because that might help
Yeah, I'm very
Give us some
influenced by the
context.
next part, yeah.
A string that pulled me out of all the wrong arms right into that dive bar. Something wrapped all of my past mistakes in barbed wire. Chains around my demons, wool to brave the seasons. One single thread of gold tied me to you.
Yeah, so that to me is where the wrong arms, past mistakes, those are the cutting me open and healing me fine, is what I see it as because it's in that next stanza. But I
Yeah.
think if we didn't have that, or if we're just focusing on the cutting me open, healing me fine, it does feel much more open to interpretation.
Yeah.
I also don't know if I think it matters too
I don't know if it
much at
matters.
the end of the day.
I also wonder if it could be both because like here it's like if you're reading this linearly or listening to it, like you think something, but then you get the bridge, which suddenly maybe shifts that meaning. Because like we've heard the song a million times, so now you like listen to it holistically. But you're right, like that bridge can influence the meaning and kind of change what you're thinking. To me, we've just gone through a moment where we're playing with time and I just like, I'm not convinced that it's all rainbows throughout this entire relationship. Like, you've gotten heal. I think we're like definitely like what I know is like it's something good, it's something true, it's something romantic, and she's really romanticizing about the connection. But at the same time, I think there's an acknowledgement of there's been ups and downs, maybe before the relationship, but I think maybe even in the relationship, but there's just something that's like always tied them because they're meant to be because they're still
Mm.
fated at the end of it.
I think going back a little bit to the idea of mystical time, again, I think to me, how we determine who's doing the cutting me open and healing me fine actually is time. So it's time, mystical
Right.
time.
That's exactly it.
Time is what's
I
cutting me
agree.
open then healing me fine. So it actually doesn't matter if it's the boys or whoever
Right.
or
Whatever
her
it
friend. I
is.
mean, to me this is saying over my life I get hurt a lot, but then I also heal a lot. It
Exactly.
actually
No, I
might not even
agree.
be romantic, but
Right.
it
Yeah.
still is leaning in to me, leaning into this fate thing of time, mystical time. It'll hurt you, it'll heal you. What are you gonna do
It's like
about
through
it?
the ups and
Yeah.
downs, through the
Yeah.
ups and downs, like maybe ups and downs outside the relationship, during the relationship,
It's
throughout life.
mystical. And that's the
Yeah,
other
it's
thing that's
like,
changed, like, the definition of time not the definition, the,
Modifier.
modifier for time went from curious time to mystical time. It'll change one more, but anyway, let's keep on the bridge. If
Yes.
there's anything more to say about the bridge, I think there is.
Oh,
I think
yes.
it clarifies that, again, the idea of fate is pulling me out of
Yes. So
these bad
it's
relationships,
not,
not me.
and it's also not him. It's not him pulling on the
Right.
string. The string is pulling her out of the wrong arms. Also, a great line of out of all the wrong arms, right into that dive bar.
Love it. Yeah, the wrong right.
Yeah. And then, like,
Also, something wrapped all my past mistakes in barbed wire, not you. Like, you're not the one that's
time, mystical time.
it's like, yeah,
I also like that it's a dive bar. It's just a small detail, but because we've presented so many
so
romantic
many
dreams
details.
and details that all of it's like this is this beautiful love story. Once upon a time, there was a boy and a girl, and here's all these things. And you know where they finally met? You know where that beautiful, beautiful moment happened? A dive bar. But it's still being presented as this like, who cares where it was? My invisible string connected me to this
Yeah.
person. It doesn't
Guess
matter where it
what?
was.
Enchanted happened in a dive bar.
barbed wire is so interesting as rap because the other things are all really nice. It's like chains around my demons. Like, yeah, sure, put your demons in chains. Wool to brave the seasons. That's a good thing too. But barbed wire on the mistakes. I guess it's like mistakes deserve a barbed wire. That's what they
Puts
deserve.
them in
But
jail, kind
barbed
of,
wire,
maybe?
yeah, kind of like puts them in punishment mode. But barbed
Hmm.
wire is not like an antidote. It's still rough. But yeah, one single thread of gold. And now the thread is
Yeah.
gold. The thread is not invisible, it's gold.
Isn't
Maybe
it
it's a gold
gold in
invisible thread.
the Greek
Emperor
myth?
has no clothes. Is this Emperor
Oh,
has
I
no
was thinking of
clothes?
Hercules whenever they pull this when they pull
Yeah,
Hercules'
Greek myth.
string.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
talked
I was
about
like,
this
I
last
think
time,
we
and I
did.
think we actually put a GIF in the Substack, I think, about this too, or somewhere.
Hercules. Anyway, are we done with the bridge? We keep going.
Well,
This is a
it,
fast episode.
well, I do think it is interesting. The barbed wire is interesting. Chains around my demons, wool to brave the seasons. All of that is great. I don't know if we have an answer, but I kind of want to pause a little bit on the something because
Right?
What
Isn't that
and
weird?
and the things that she's listing here are wrapping all of my mistakes in barbed wire, chaining up my demons, giving me wool to brave the seasons.
And she doesn't know what it is?
Yeah, what is the something here?
It's time, mystical
Maybe.
time.
It has to be something that is so undefinable because she's defining so many things. She's
Yeah.
so specific throughout this whole song that have we ever heard her use the word something? Like she's
I'm
never
gonna look it
that
up. I'm gonna look
vague.
it up.
Yeah. Does Taylor Swift use the word something?
Is Taylor Swift at a loss for words?
Have we ever seen this girl at a loss for words? But I think it just means that it's so mystical and out there.
I think that's the point. I think the
And
point is that there's something beyond
right.
explanation. It's something supernatural.
Inexplicable.
Yeah, like we're trying to go beyond the normal,
Yeah.
beyond the mundane, if
Something
you will. Something
mystical and magical
extraordinary.
because I can't. We keep saying mystical
Mystical,
and
magical.
yeah, it's such an earworm. Thank you, Benson Boone.
The something is so vague and like, yeah, maybe it is time, but maybe I think to me, the more that we're talking about this, it kind of makes me think of like when sometimes people will say, well, like, oh, I didn't meet the right person until I was ready, or like you have to love yourself first, or some of those things, which are like not always helpful advice, but maybe have a negative truth. But then it was like,
It's not the most actionable
no, not really.
advice.
But like it's like I don't know what it is, but like something made this the right like for once it was the right time in the right place. Something meant that
Yeah.
I was either prepared to go through this journey of chaining up my demons or I had already been doing that work, but like I met you in this dive bar and things were falling into place. Right place, right time for once in my life is kind of what it feels like.
And maybe it's the string that wrapped all the demons, past mistakes, and barbed wire because it
They
was
are all
invisible.
wrapping. It's wrapping.
Yeah,
Everything's
it's a
wrapping.
string and it's wrapping and strings wrap.
At the end, it says one single thread of gold tied me to
Right.
you. So I do think that all of the things that are wrapping, that's why I thought it was interesting of just like the barbed wire, like the chains and the wool, I kind of understand because we're comparing it maybe to the string, but the barbed wire, whatever. But it's
Barbed wire
around
can be
mistakes.
one
So,
long string just with spikes on it, so I think it still
well,
Yes.
fits.
yes, very spiky
The
string.
Yeah,
yeah, the image I have in my head is the barbed wire that goes around the tops
yeah,
of a fence in like like a prison or something. So if you're putting your mistakes behind barbed wire, wrapping it in barbed wire, you're like these cannot get out.
yeah. It's like the
So
the string is morphing into like whatever material
all
it
these
needs to
things.
be to make
Right.
the time that it works to connect.
Demons need to be
Yeah,
chained. She needs a wool
just one
blanket
string
to
of wool
brave the
just wrapped around her
seasons.
so much.
Yeah. And then here, yeah, I mean it's this mystical magical string that can be all these things and look in addition to all these things it was also what tied me to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it and maybe this is why the gold is so important here because we've just said everything the string can be and she's saying but when it tied me to you that was a gold string. That was
It
good. That
was
was
Mhm.
precious.
beautiful. It was
I mean,
precious.
I definitely think that the fate Hercules reference is a valid one because when the string becomes gold, then it can no longer be cut.
Yep.
That's when he becomes the god,
Yeah.
and then it's unbreakable. Invisible is also invisible. You can't see. It's not clear what it is, and so some of the ambiguity that we're talking about of I don't know what it was. It was
Mhm.
something, but I don't know because it was invisible. I couldn't see it, and then maybe this is a moment of clarity because not only does it become solidified, but it's also like now that they're together, now that they have met, it's very clear that it was a single thread of gold, something that was precious.
Yeah.
Gold is a precious metal, and it's more strong.
I love that you say something tangible and strong because then if we can go on to the last verse,
Yes.
we get cold was the steel of my axe to grind. What a switch from the romance of one single thread of gold tied me to you to cold was the steel of my axe to grind for the boys who broke my heart. Now I buy their baby send their babies presents.
I know we didn't do the song for unreliable narrator, but this narrator is kooky, guys. Like the more I read this song, this narrator is crazy.
I said it last in our last episode last week about how to me this song is someone like on vacation with the love of their life and they're just like no responsibility is just kind of in that moment of just like everything's amazing. This all worked out so
Yeah.
well for us. Like I don't think it's necessarily like this is truly what I believe, but it's like just in a
Right.
moment filled with like the euphoria of like I'm in love
Yeah.
and this is awesome and how did we get
Yeah.
here? And I'm going to choose to believe it was fate. I'm going to choose to believe these kinds of
But
things.
she's grinding an
She
axe.
was.
She
Like,
She
used
was
to.
grinding
She
an axe.
was.
oh, still,
It
like,
was the steal.
the kind of person that does that is
Hey,
she screws loose, in my opinion.
no, I
Oh, well,
disagree.
then I think
Oh,
Jody and I are
have you ever
currently
had an
saying we
ex?
have some screws loose.
If I recall correctly, Monty, you've never had an ex-boyfriend? Just saying.
Well,
Yeah.
one could argue that I don't know. I just didn't need a steel axe. I don't know. I don't know what one can argue.
When someone breaks your heart,
Okay, let me ask you
best
this,
believe.
Monzi. Have you ever had a company you've worked for that you're like, I have an axe to grind with these assholes?
I guess like what my point is that like no, the contrast between her little romantic, like I feel pretty, like this is where the kookiness is coming in. It's the polarizing opposite, like between the beginning of the song where she's like, "Isn't it pretty to think?" And then at the end, she's like, she used to grind steel axes. Like, I get the need for revenge, but I just think it's funny because she has it again at the end. She says, "Isn't it just so pretty to think?" It's like this harmless little butterfly pink fluffy dress girl who's secretly grinding an axe in their past life.
Aren't we all?
However, she just said something wrapped all my past mistakes and barbed wire chains around my demons. That is chains.
Right.
She's not saying everything's been great. She's
That
saying
she's
I
perfect.
have demons. I have stuff in my past, and then she's saying here's some of the stuff that was in the past. But it's now that the invisible string led me to you. I am sending presents to the babies of the men
Right.
who
Look
I
how much I've changed.
hated.
Yeah, it's going from a cold, hard, metallic
Yeah,
past to literally sunshine and butterflies.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
But
love.
yeah, but but I also just think the fact that we started with like I don't know, you guys are not seeing the humor in the song that I am seeing, I guess, for some reason. But I just feel like we started with her trying to tie an invisible string between green and teal and like acknowledging the fact that like, okay, fine, that's bullshit. Like clearly we had nothing in common. Like I guess I see a lot more tone, voice, and personality in this song, rather than just like a simple romantic song. Like we've gone all over from like this cold hard place to this present sit. There's a bit of humor instilled in it. Like there is a real personality here in the speaker to me.
Yeah, I
But
think
maybe
she's
we're
doing.
getting to the first.
I don't disagree with that. I think all of this is just kind of a like in this moment of writing this song, I'm going to think about how stupid the past was and how it doesn't matter anymore and
Yeah,
I don't
like it's
care.
almost like a caricature. It's like an exaggerated caricature to some degree, right? Of but at the same time, we're just talking about the fact that there was something tying us there all along. That's the through line, but in kind of a funny way.
I've just
Please.
always loved this line because it's like even if I still get angry at people in the past who hurt me, romantic or not, the idea of now I send their babies presents of like the ability to get it's such a short line, but it's saying, I'm so happy now that I can be happy for you, which
Yeah.
sounds petty, but I think it's real. Like
Of course.
my biggest ones would be work, and it was like not that long ago I saw the CEO of a company that laid me off that I blamed him. I was very angry with him for it and I saw something on LinkedIn and I was like, "Oh, good for him." And I was like,
Wow.
"Oh,
Look at
like
you.
I'm happy in my job and I've moved on and now I can be happy for
Growth.
to be happy for someone who hurt you that badly and to send them presents is like I have moved on to a point that I never thought I would be at and like wow, that's so cool that I'm here now."
I was saying we see that in the rest of this
Yes.
verse. Gold was the color of the leaves when I showed you around Centennial Park. Hell was the journey, but it brought me heaven. So not only are we brought back to Centennial
Mhm.
Park, that it was green when I was there wishing for a romance. Now I'm with you. The leaves are gold like the string. And we can see she's saying, hell was the journey, but it brought me heaven. That journey that I had with demons and past mistakes and barbed wire and steel axes to grind was hell, but it brought me you, it brought me heaven. And so I think that this verse, it is such a dramatic shift from the steel axe to sending their babies presents, because that's how it has felt
Yeah.
to all of a sudden have this love in your life, that I went through all of these things. It wasn't this wistful, I'm just lying in Centennial Park hoping I'm going to meet someone. I actually went through a lot of
Yeah.
shit, not necessarily to find my person, but just like in life, I went through some shit. And
Yeah.
now here I have this person to go through life with, that kind of makes it all worth it.
Yeah. I also in the mythology references or in kind of the larger than any religion, older or whatever, I also think that the steel axe there is like really painting a picture of like old war,
Mm,
cold kind of, I don't know. I'm thinking of like the Vikings kind of like this the hard place, like the tough and trying times to the present it's almost like this like evolution through time and space.
mm. Yeah, like an axe is one of the oldest forms of weaponry.
Exactly, and
The steel
it's like
axe.
right. I think it's like it's older than anything we have today. Like it's not ordinary objects. It's like really resorting to something a lot more classic and ancient and timeless.
I do think I do see some of the humor, but I think to me the song is a bit more of a coping than a humor to me, which maybe we're getting into purpose and we still have a little
Well,
more to
no, we
do.
can't get into the
I
purpose.
know,
We
we
have
have more to
one
do,
more
but I just want to
chorus.
point out that hell was the journey, but it brought me heaven. And isn't it so pretty to think? She's never saying that she firmly believes this, but she's saying this
Right,
journey sucked and now I'm on the other side and I'm reflecting on it. And it's like maybe there are some rose colored glasses, which we have more colors we're going to get to in a moment, which is fun. But like, who cares? I got here,
right.
you know?
Yeah, because we have one more descriptor for time. It's time, wondrous time. Gave me the blues and then purple pink skies. And it's cool, baby, with me. And isn't it just so pretty to think all along there was some invisible string tying you to me?
The and it's cool is interesting to me because this came out after Cruel Summer.
Yeah, and the Pink Skies, I mean, Lover. This is a song that's definitely got like a lot of self references for
Oh yeah,
Taylor
we got
Swift.
bad blood,
Yeah.
Yeah,
1989.
Bad Blood, the singer. Yeah. So this really is taking us through like a journey of her life.
We also have Gave Me the Blues, then Purple Pink
Yeah.
Skies, blues meaning
Yep.
depression, right? Going back to the hell was the journey, but also a blue sky. But that then changed to a purple pink sky, which is very whimsical and beautiful. And
We've talked about Loving Him Was Blue, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
or Loving Him Was Red, I
But
guess.
after
Blue.
all of this, hell was the journey, all of this stuff, that time, wondrous time. Wondrous
wondrous.
is a good thing. Gave me the blues and then pink sky. So time again cut me open, healed me good. Time made me sad, but it also made me happy.
Yeah.
I would like a follow up stanza to this, just maybe.
I think that's called all of the albums we've gotten afterwards.
It's called the Torture Poets Department.
Well,
Yeah, it's
okay,
called the Tortured Poets Department.
yeah, we get back into getting tortured. Um, I think that one thing that we're acknowledging at the end by returning to all of these colors is, we started off with colors, we're ending up with colors. So in some ways, there's a cyclical loop from start to finish. But in the beginning, when we were focusing on two different shades of green, where they're just two different variations of the same color, I kind of like the fact that at the end, we're getting a lot of different colors that are kind of all over and all encompassing and representing different things. You have gold was the color of the leaves. You have the gold, the color of the string. You have the blues, the purple, pinks. You've kind of like, we've gone out of just trying to find similarities to like talking about the color more holistically. And I think that's really interesting because she's still starting and finishing with the same thing, but the meaning has changed.
Also, when we did our color episode, we did a lot of the shades of red, and gold was in there a little bit, but it'd be really interesting to do a gold episode and see her different uses of the color gold. Because like we also have Gold Rush, and it was in Daylight, which we did
Hmm.
talk about in the color song.
All right, add it to the list. A gold episode.
Season 4 will just be different episodes about different
Colors.
colors.
We could probably do that for a good amount of time.
God, that'll take us through a lot. Do we
um,
want to get to the purpose?
Yeah. Is anyone feeling really ready?
I don't know that I'm feeling ready, but I think what I would say about this song that I see now that I didn't see previously is I used to see this song as so whimsical and beautiful and looking specifically at fate and how wonderful it is that we were fated to be together, that there's this invisible string. And now I see it as a lot more realistic. That line, and isn't it just so pretty to think all along there was some invisible string tying you to me? The just so pretty to think really changes the meaning for me that from invisible string theory that you and I were fated to be together to the idea of an invisible string is really nice and gets me through all of the thing like helps justify almost all the things that happened to me in my life and I'm happy now and it's a nice way to think that all of the suffering and the pain that I went through was worth it because it somehow was part of this grand plan to bring me to you. So it's I feel like the purpose of this song then becomes this almost this justification for all the things I had to go through in my life and that it's worth it. And if that's what it took to get me to you, then this invisible string was worthwhile, then it's all worthwhile. And I don't think I ever saw this song that way before. And I think if I had more time, which maybe I will for the Substack, maybe I'll make this one really kind of being more articulate with the purpose of the song. But I definitely don't see this song anymore as purely whimsical and beautiful and romantic, which is like, I'm the one that picked this for the romantic love songs. Now I see it more as almost a more realistic love song of like, it's justifying all of the shit that love and life is not purely romance and fate and beauty. There's also this hard stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah, it, like, makes it more romantic to me to look at someone and
Yeah,
say, "Hell was the journey, but it brought me heaven." And
right.
she's not saying it directly, but the strong implication of the song is, "I would do it again if I ended up
I
with
would do it
you."
again, that you're worth it.
And that's so much
Yeah,
more
that
romantic, yeah.
this life with you is worth it for all the things I had to go through. Okay. It's not as simple as, oh, we were fated to be together and look at us. Like I had to go through a lot. So it's toying with this idea of fate.
I think this is gonna be a fun song because I think we all can like take different flavors, and I think they're all like right. I think I like definitely agree with that. I think to me, I'm seeing even all of that, yes, and like the giving someone the advice of like this will all work out. Like someday you're gonna look back at this as a horrible advice. Don't give that to someone. That's not helpful to hear. But to be on the other side of hell, because
Hmm.
to me there is lightness in this. I mean, the music
Yes.
adds lightheartedness. I do think that to what Monty was saying, like I think there is some like tongue in cheek, some humor. But to me, to be able to stand on the other side of having an axe to grind, of having your demons, of having your mistakes, of being in the wrong arms, and to casually and lightheartedly say like that's crazy. Anyways, I ended up with you. It's like one of the most like romantic things I can think of. It's kind of got that like that reputation no one heard from me for months. I'm doing better than I ever was. Like it has that energy to it of yeah, it brought me heaven and I love you and here's all this stuff and like here's all of these stories and here's all these things and we felt like some of them were confusing or tongue in cheek, but I think at the end of the day she's saying also like none of that matters except for the fact that I ended up here. And the only reason those things matter is because they led me to here. That's the
Mm,
invisible string. None of those things would have meaning if it hadn't ended this way. Like she's putting I think a lot of almost like casually putting a lot of weight on here's all of these irrelevant things, but they're only relevant because of you. And I'm so happy with you that I can casually, laughingly talk about those random things and be like, haha, worked out, got my purple pink skies, so we're good to go. It has just so much, yes, healing, but also like a little bit of maturity of, oh, I see the growth in that and it like worked out. May, the relationship might cut me open and heal me again, like I don't know. But I think there's like an underlying subtle strength to this song of I survived all that and it was worth it and I'll survive whatever time does to me next. Which I think that's more subtle and maybe me reading into it a little bit more. But when you really look at the narrative, like girl has survived a lot here and she's happy of where it brought her. But to be able to send presents to the babies of men you hated shows a strength of kindness that we don't often talk about as strength. And I think that that's in here a little bit more than we necessarily would like think on a first listen, that the strength that being happy and healed and kind, it's not masculine, so it's not often perceived as strength, but I do think it's here.
I think that, as always, we always bring all of our life experiences to these different songs, and I think one of the reasons that I find this extra humorous is actually that line, now I send their babies presents. I think there's like, it's actually such a loaded line, and like you talked about a little bit, Jen, like, yeah, it shows growth, but to me, I'm also like, it means so many different things. It means those guys are still in your life for some reason. If you're having to send them, or like if you're sending them presents, like, why would you talk to them? I think we know Taylor in her context, which in the song she does insert herself in as the speaker pretty clearly. Sending kids of guys that she once dated presents, to me, is like they're fans of hers, like she gives them stuff, free things, maybe tickets to the show, or like she's able to like treat them because she can, because she's this crazy amazing big personality, and she can now do that. Like she'll be like, oh, what the heck, sure, like if your daughter loves me, like I will give her a free ticket, right? So yeah, it's growth on a lot of different fronts, but I also found it humorous. I think in my personal life, this song reminds me of one of my best friends. I think she has owned this song as like about her and her husband, in my life. And what's funny is like it's not the boys that broke her heart, but the guy that she is married to was on this dance team and was like all guys, and now all of those guys that we used to like never talk to in college are like all of our best friends, and she sends all their kids presents. And so it's like this real full circle moment of like, how did we end up here? How am I sending presents to these people's kids? And so I definitely see like this sense of humor and irony, and a little bit of like, it's my favorite theme in Taylor Swift music, my favorite genre of taking the ordinary and making it something more than it is. And so you're taking this connection that she's had with this person, but she's like adding color to it quite literally, and adding jokes and personality and making comparisons to elevate it a little bit and make it out of the ordinary and make it something worth like really being able to look at holistically. It's not just that now they're together and it's great. It is a little bit of like, we had nothing in common, but let's pretend we did for a second. Let's pretend that we were tied all along. Like, what does that look like? Like, what were all the different battles or wars? And like the way that she's talking about some of her past and like really exaggerating the toughness, she's comparing it to hell. She's talking about an axe. Like it's really taking the simple things to all extremes to really make a narrative out of it and really make a story out of it. Something that maybe could have been very ordinary as just like one day we met and we started dating and this is a relationship that's actually working and that's so lovely. That's not exciting. What is exciting is if that relationship were somehow fated to be together, and if somebody had to go to hell and back to get here, and if it was something really to stand the test of time, the relationship to end all relationships. And I see this as like a almost like a whimsical storytelling of that. But I agree, Jody, that underneath the whimsy surface, what you're saying is like there's something more real, there's something very ordinary, and there's something that a lot of us could probably relate to in some way. But she's taken it and she's spruced it up, and she's added some personality to it.
I feel like we all came the purpose of this song is like a little different than we initially thought
Yeah.
Yeah.
going in, which is the fun of a deep dive.
Yeah, I never really reflected on even just the isn't it just so pretty to think,
Just so pretty.
to actually sit with that for more than 2 seconds is like, oh,
Yeah.
she's just choosing to believe this because it feels nice, and that's fine.
And there's something to be said about choosing
Totally
to believe
choosing.
something.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like,
yeah, that's why
I'm
I feel like the enchanted reference, because it's like here's an ordinary situation. Here's the situation going through Taylor Swift's head and coming out the other side.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it's like
we get all these vignettes, but the moment, the like climax of the story is meeting him at a dive bar, and like that part of
Are you saying I need to go to dive bars?
but the fact that she also but the fact that she says that in the song, like you're really hearing the tone and voice, because she's like, like when you hear her on an interview, she has this like humor, tongue in cheek, like
Yeah.
personality. It's like, I feel that. It's like most magical moment dive bar. Like that's intentional here.
And it is one of her most self-inserted songs. I say most. I haven't evaluated all of her songs thinking about it, but
Clara
it is up there, one of.
It's up there.
Yet
Yeah.
it is still again so universal. Like
Yes.
we all could relate to it in different ways, and the idea of I'm going to choose to think that fate brought me here and put all the bad stuff in my life so that I would end up in something good. Like that's a very relatable feeling. Even
Right.
with the self inserts, we can still connect to
Yeah.
that.
That's all we have for you on this deep dive of Invisible String. Join us next time as we overanalyze some more Taylor Swift songs right here on AP Taylor Swift.
That's all we have for you today on AP Taylor Swift. Be sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on social at AP Taylor Swift to stay up to date, and join us next time as we overanalyze and deep dive into the next Taylor Swift song on AP Taylor Swift.